welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is going to be my second vlog video. So the first one was watched more than I was expecting, to be quite honest. So I thought I would maybe do this kind of semi-regularly and talk a little bit about things that are to do with the channel. I've got a few stories, I suppose, that kind of link into what I spoke about last month, and I'll come on to that. But I've got like a fun little tidbit to tell you first of all. So I'm approaching 9 million views on the channel, so I thought I would do a kind of a Q&A session. But what it's going to be is you can ask me any type of question, it personal, it to do with films, whatever you like, and you can just ask me on a comment. And I'll do an actual video for it, but you can ask me on this or the actual video that I'll probably put up in a week or so. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give some prizes. I'm not going to do random draw though. I'm going to do just give some prizes out for just what I think are the best or most interesting questions. It'll be entirely down to me. And yeah, so you can ask me any type of question you like. I'm not quite sure when I'll do this this actual Q&A video. But it won't be too far along, along the line. So ask me a question if you want in the comment section of this video, and I'll answer it. And then whatever kind of questions I like the best, I'll kind of maybe give away like 5 individual prizes. It's not going to be anything huge. It'll just be like a Blu-ray or a DVD or something to the kind of the 5 kind of questions that I like the best. So that's the first thing. Just ask me anything you like, anything you want to know, and if it's a fun or a question I really kind of like I've said, you may well get a prize from it. And it'll be not random, it'll be ones I've specifically picked. Look out for a video on that in the future. So that's the first thing. We are going to talk a little bit about sort of similar subjects to what I spoke about last vlog in regards to some of the kind of the issues that may have dealt with. Now last month I spoke a little bit about me being quoted or our reviews being quoted and kind of maybe things being taken out of context, misquoted sometimes and things like this. And there's another factor I'm going to kind of talk about. But first, just one other thing that kind of relates to last month's topic. So we had a review up for a film called f.r.e.d.i. This was a kids film. Now I actually sent the screener over to Lisa from Lisa Loves to Review This. Now when I try and when I get screeners and stuff, I like to try it, if I can, get someone to review it who I feel may have the best possible connection for it. So I don't have children myself, so reviewing a kids film is more difficult in a way, because I've got to try and think of it, is it going to be a good film for children? I mean, obviously for an adult they might find it more simplistic, but is it a good film for children? Now, for another kind of example, I got sent a screener for an LGBT love story. So it was a lesbian one, and I got another YouTuber who is gay to review that for me, because I thought it's going to speak to that person the most. And then with this particular one, Lisa has a 7-year-old son called Isaac. So I thought it would be interesting to get a child's point of view based on a child's, a kid's film. So Lisa and Isaac both watched this movie called f.r.e.d.i, which is kind of a E.T. style robot film, and it ended up on the front page of Reddit. So there was a quote on the DVD of this. There's nothing too controversial about this one, but it ended up on the front page of Reddit, and it was reading some of the comments. It was quite fun. Some people take things a little too seriously maybe, and yeah, I mean, I told Lisa, I'll leave the link to the Reddit article in the description below, and of course that video is now kind of like getting loads of people coming from that, which is cool. But that was just kind of quite fun, and it was people going, oh, how could you compare it to E.T.? It's just a similar sort of story. I think that's what Lisa was going for. It's not saying the quality is as good as E.T., it's just saying it's a comparable story. But there wasn't anything too kind of controversial about that one. What I do want to kind of talk about this kind of month in a little bit more detail is doing a channel like this, where I'm kind of talking about mainly lower budget indie horror films or sci-fi films mainly. there are challenges that happen, and you know, last month I spoke about how sometimes quotes can be kind of taken out of context, like I've said. But today I'm going to talk about dealing with the actual filmmakers themselves on occasion, and I'm going to tell you 3 examples of all of what have happened recently, and I'm talking recently as in one is still dealing with today, and the rest of them, they're all within this last month. But this has happened for the last 5 years since I've been doing this channel. So sometimes you'll end up kind of conversing with the filmmakers, particularly on lower budget films, because they're not covered as much as Star Wars or Marvel films. Obviously, there's thousands upon thousands of reviews of Star Wars or Marvel films or big films and stuff like that. But when you're reviewing a low budget indie film, there's less of them. There's kind of less coverage, obviously, and particularly some of these films. You know, we're talking they're made for a few $1,000s. Sometimes I reviewed a film that was made for £100. So yeah, there's less coverage. So obviously, a lot of the time, filmmakers actually watch these reviews, and sometimes they'll converse. Sometimes they're you know, when I kind of talk about a film, this is what I say to the guys who review for me. I always try and be constructive, never kind of like have personal attacks on people who make the films and stuff like that. And if you do have to critique a film, is kind of, you know, explain what you mean and in kind of a little detail, and give context to what you're saying. And then even the kind of the worst films, more often than they'll have some elements that have been done well. By just saying a film is out and out rubbish, you're saying there's no element of that film, lighting, costumes, set design, music, whatever, it's all rubbish. So that's not true. I mean, even kind of in the vast majority of cases, there are some good things to can be said about certain, you know, aspects of a film, and this sometimes is what happens when you end up with quotes on covers, because you've said, oh, the music was really, really good, then they'll go really, really good on the you know, DVD case or something. Anyway, so this has happened all through the time I've been doing YouTube. The bigger the channel gets, the more it ends up kind of having some issues with it ultimately. So, as I've kind of mentioned last month, we get sent screeners. So we'll get sent email links or sometimes discs of movies that are coming out by film companies. Now, I have seen other channels who I won't name, if they get a screener from the company, they'll just automatically give it a good review because they, you know, they want to kind of suck up to the film company. We do not do that here. And this sometimes rubs filmmakers up the wrong way. I always say, this is my philosophy, and this is philosophy I share with anyone who does a review for me. You know, just be honest. If you don't like a film, be honest, but don't make it personal. Don't, you know, give context to any criticism. So I'm going to tell you about 3 instances of where it got, they're all kind of slightly different, but where it's got a little bit of dialogue through certain ways. The first one is the kind of the least out of the 3 of them, because this is just funny. There's a film called Amityville Mount Misery Road, which I reviewed recently, and it's a super low budget film, and it is made by people who have no experience in the film industry. If you look at their IMDb credits, it's the guy it's a husband and wife team. It's a found footage film, and it really wasn't very good. You know, and it was one of these films where there really wasn't very much to talk about in a positive light, because the review I kind of gave it was it felt like they were just making a film that they would want to watch, but it wasn't made for anyone else ultimately, because there's ultimately no plot, many problems with it. Now sometimes I also write written reviews on IMDb as well, and so I kind of translated my video review into a written review as well, because there was so many like 10 out of 10 reviews on IMDb, and Death House has done this as well. They just kind of get people, either friends or family members or whatever, to kind of write these kind of 10 out of 10 reviews and stuff like that. Anyway, and so if you look in the comment section of the Mount Misery Road one, there's all these kind of like comments now from people who are going, oh, I've seen this movie, it's the best film ever made, it's so great, it's so funny. You know, it's just like such a thrilling thrill ride. I mean, it's like, man, it lays on so thick. I mean, they haven't kind of actually, these people haven't actually contacted me directly or anything like that, but it's just a bit funny that kind of the comments are so clearly kind of, you know, from people that are friends or family members of the kind of the people involved and stuff like that. It's just a little funny, and they, you know, they have a few sly digs at me in the actual in the comments as well. I'm not the sort of person who gets too kind of like worried about people, you know, being kind of a little critical of me in comment sections and stuff like that. Unless it's very kind of personal, then whatever, I'll just leave it. But it's quite funny. That's the kind of like the mild one. The next one I'll tell you about was, I think, the one that pissed me off the most. Now, Aaran, who does reviews for me from Screenstars, I actually sent him a screener. Now, a film company contacted me and they said, "Will you review our film? It's called Glassjaw. It's like a boxing film." Aaran kind of like, he's not so much more of a, he's more of a kind of a mainstream kind of like movie fan. So I thought Glassjaw is kind of maybe more in his wheelhouse, that sort of thing. So I sent him the screener and he gave it in the review. Now, what they do, they'll send like a press kit. So it will have like, you know, photos to use. It will have a trailer sometimes and, you know, information about the film. So they sent me this press kit, ultimately, on email with, you know, obviously the screener, the trailer, stills from the film, the poster, etc. So I just sent it to Aaran and said, "Do you want to review this?" So he did his review. And he gave it a 6 out of 10. So not a bad score. Now, if it was Rotten Tomatoes, 60% actually counts as fresh. Just keep that in mind. So not a bad review. But the one critique he had was the main actor in this, whose name was Lee someone. He said he wasn't particularly strong. Now, apparently this Lee was actually also a producer on the film, because he actually contacted me on Facebook through the Geek Legion of Doom Facebook page. And he was like, "Oh, well, you've done a review for my film. Would you mind taking it off, because I don't want it to affect my career?" And I'm like, And I said, "You do realise we gave it a 6 out of 10. It's not actually a bad review. You know, it's not like, and this was before the film just before the film had come out. It's not like a bad review. It's just kind of like, and again, Aaran was very constructive. He wasn't kind of nasty about it. So the guy was like, "Hey, well, you know, I'd really appreciate if you would just kind of like take it off." And I was like, "Do you know, I'm not really prepared to do that, because I feel like it's kind of like, not that I consider, no, silencing the press or what have you. It just seems like dishonest, to be honest with you. I mean," so I said, "Look, I'm not prepared to take it off. But what I will do is I'll put it unlisted for a couple of weeks when the first film comes out, if it's that much of an issue for you, you know." And if you don't know what unlisted means, is it means that you can't, it's not searchable. You don't even have to see the film if you have a link from it. And he's like, "Okay, fine." And he's like, "Yeah, come out to Los Angeles and we'll go have some beers and stuff." And he sent me all this kind of like this message on Facebook. So I did that. I did that. Anyway, so I left it unlisted for a couple of weeks until after the film had its general leak. Then I popped it back on public. And this video is not a massively popular video. It's got a couple of hundred views. It's really not a popular video, to be quite honest. Anyway, soon after that, I get a copyright strike from the film company, a manual copyright strike. So the film company has gone in, or someone from the film company has gone in and said, "I want to, you know, have this video removed, and I want to put a black mark on the channel because of it." So I was like, cheeky bastards. And this is what has happened in many cases with reviews. If you give a bad review, they'll use the copyright, the copyright kind of laws ultimately to try and just get rid of the review, because they don't want kind of the bad press, and it really pissed me off, you know. So I appealed it, and I said nothing. You know, we didn't use any video. Aaran didn't use any video footage in the actual review. It was just the same the pictures that they had sent me on a press release, and it really pissed me off. And I was, anyway, this appeal seemed to go on because you have a strike for 3 months now, and this appeal went on for nearly 3 months, and I won the appeal, and then I got the video came back up, so I didn't delete it. So the video came back up nearly 3 months. The strike had nearly expired anyway at this point. And I was considering tweeting about this guy, sort of trying to kind of like, sort of silence a critic, if you like, to try and sort of hide the fact that we could have critiqued his acting skills. But I didn't. I just thought, no, just leave it. Just, it's kind of petty. So we won the appeal, and then I got another email from from someone else in the company, in this film company, asking if we'd remove the video. However, this unexpectedly, YouTube actually emailed me and said we're not going to take it off again. We actually believe it is fair use, and it's we're going to kind of back you on this one. So that was quite fun. And I was like, no, screw you, you bastards! Try and get me done for a copyright infringement when you've got because you didn't like the review ultimately. So yeah, they can go suck it as far as I'm concerned. Now this has happened again with another video, Axiom. Again, that was kind of same thing. They didn't like the review, so they kind of like put a copyright strike against me. But so I'm dealing with that one at the moment. But that's kind of in the early stages. And then I want to talk about another one that happened recently, and this one has really just kind of happened today. This is kind of why I was kind of like mentioning this today, doing this video ultimately. I thought, do you know what? There's enough now to talk about in another video. So these kind of 3 examples are all ones that have happened within the last month. So you can get the idea. This is within February I'm talking about, or now March. But I get this month in, month out. Is there a point to this? No, I just thought I'd share these stories with you because this is a vlog and kind of like this is for me, for a chance to kind of tell you. But what I will say is that if we get sent a screen out, we'll be honest about what we think, and we won't be disrespectful, but we will be honest. And if there's stuff that we don't like or we feel that didn't work, we will say. But we'll try and be as constructive as we can in regards to how we kind of critique stuff. Because I don't, it's people's work. I understand that. I don't want to make personal attacks on people. So yeah, so there you go. So that's 3 examples of where I've had to deal with kind of filmmakers in one reason or another, or people involved in the film that just kind of like don't like what we got to say. And as any YouTube channel, as you grow, it maybe does similar stuff to me. Be prepared to deal with stuff like this as you kind of go along. It's particularly if you're dealing with smaller films, whose coverage maybe isn't, it doesn't as much. But I'm going to kind of finish with this because there are plenty of examples of where filmmakers have contacted me and have been, pretty positive. Even if I've critiqued them, they've kind of said, oh, that's fair, I understand that, or they'll tell me about the decisions that they've made, the reasons why that kind of things may have been a certain way. It's kind of like a movie that I kind of spoke about last time in the last video was Dragon Kingdom, and I've actually had quite a lot of dialogue with the director there, and he's kind of like quite happy to kind of like listen to my thoughts on it, and hopefully take any constructive criticism going forward and kind of maybe move forward and improve as a filmmaker and stuff. Not that I'm saying I'm the freaking film guru, but that's in any job. I mean, in my day job, I do have a day job. I take criticism and I use that and I move forward with it to improve what I want to improve my job. And that's how you improve. And there are plenty of filmmakers who are quite happy to chat to you. I mean, some of them kind of like a little disappointed sometimes, but then sometimes they'll just kind of, you know, they're just fine, they just take it. And some will genuinely will open a live dialogue, and a lot of times when I say good stuff as well, they're very thankful. They kind of like, you know, they feel good. I mean, Lisa reviewed one called Lars the Emo Boy or something like that. And the filmmaker sent us 3 screeners, and she loved Lars the Real Boy, Lars the Emo Kid or something it was called. I can't remember now. And the director was just gushing. But then we kind of, the other film that we reviewed wasn't so good. But you just take the rough with the smooth, that's with anything. Anyway, so that is my vlog. Just remember, please do consider this Q&A open now. Any questions you want to ask me, either ask me on this video, or ask me in the Q&A video that I'll probably put up within the next week. And like I said, there'll be prizes that are involved. They'll kind of do a Q&A answers one a little bit further on down the line, probably once I've kind of gone past the 9 million views point. Anyway, that's it for issue 2. I was planning to do a car boot to eBay challenge this weekend. And that's something I haven't done for a couple of years, and I know a lot of people have asked me when I'm going to do another one of these, but unfortunately we had Storm Freya this weekend, so we kind of got rained off. But when I've got a kind of a weekend day off again, I will endeavour to do another episode of the car boot to eBay challenge, which I haven't done for 2 years, so you can expect to see one of those hopefully fairly soon. Anyway, please, as I say, ask these questions, and thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.